and new. I do believe that it is new, yes. So go ahead and press enter. There you go, it performs 5 passes in order to make sure that everything is well, so no problems there. Let's go ahead and clear the screen as we are not going to be needing this anymore. Let's type in lv reduce space l1 dev Lyra new. Does anybody see anything wrong with this? So let me give you a hint. There is nothing wrong with the command itself in terms of syntax or anything of a kind. Actually, this command should work without any problems. But there is something wrong with the logic of it. Oh, can you guess what? Well, you can press pause and dwell on it if you like, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you. This command will reduce the logical volume size, and you will reduce the logical volume size with this command before you reduce the size of the file system, which is not something you want, which is really not something you want to do. Anyway, let's not use it, and let's use resize. Well, I think I have this one already somewhere around here. There we go. If I press enter, resizing the file system. Okay, so all is well, no problems there. Now let's go ahead and resize the logical volume. I think I have it here somewhere as well. I've done some test runs, so we don't have to type it in. There we go. Oh, okay, I've resized it twice. It went down and then I've brought it back up again. So I'll just change the number here to 1, and if I go ahead and press enter, there will be a warning. So this warning, it says reducing active logical volume to 1 gigabyte. This may destroy your data, file system, etc. So it's asking you, do you really, and I mean really, want to reduce new? You can just type in yes for you can just type in Y for yes or N for no. Be very careful, think about it, don't rush into it. This is not something you want to do on a bad day when you're nervous or something of a kind. You want to be doing this on a happy day, when something awesome happened to you and you're like, I can do this right now, and then you do it and your day gets ruined. Just joking. Hopefully that's not gonna happen. Okay, just type in Y, press enter, and it says, okay, size of the logical volume, Lyra 1 new changed from 4 gigabytes to 1 gigabyte. Logical volume new, successfully resized. Let's go ahead and mount it and have a look at it. I do believe that I have the mount command here somewhere as well. There we go. Now df space -h. Take a look at the last one. It's the same one, I assure you. It's 880 megabytes. 1000 megabytes, 1024 megabytes is 1 gigabyte, and 880 megabytes is 120 megabytes, 134 megabytes short of, if my math is correct. If it's not, feel free to make a shout out in the discussions. I won't mind. I'm happy. I'm happy if you've noticed it. If you've been paying that much attention to have noticed it, that's fantastic. You will never be able to get it right. I mean, okay, you could give it some extra and then repeat this process again and take into consideration those 120 megabytes, but it's probably not going to be the same. It will maybe be more or less, something like that. Depends on a lot of things. So just don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be exact to the last megabyte. When you're measuring the size of something in megabytes, as long as it's not close to a gigabyte or anything like that, it's nothing. It's very small. It's like you're counting pennies in your pocket. There isn't much that you would theoretically be able to do with those pennies, and same principles apply here. So we can go ahead and clear the screen, and that would conclude, and with that I would like to conclude this tutorial. I'm sorry if I've been rather slow in this particular tutorial, but that it was necessary in my opinion, just to show you that you shouldn't rush these things, and to emphasize how potentially destructive this action can be. Unless you absolutely have to do this, don't do it. Opt for other options. If you do everything right, you're not going to damage anything. Everything should be fine, but there's always a chance factor, so keep that in mind. Anyway, I bid you all farewell, and I hope to see you in the follow-up tutorial. Welcome all to this tutorial. Today I will start talking about LUKS, or Linux Unified Key System. Let me just show you how it is spelled in a moment, as the system I'm in the process of logging into the system. So let's go ahead and open the terminal. It's LUKS. So Linux Unified Key System. What is this? Well, as I said, I intend to talk about encryption, and this is a way in which you can actually encrypt your drives. That adds an extra layer of security, ensuring that you and you alone have access to those files when you lock them up. Only a person with a key, or you, would have access to them. Without the key, it would be gibberish. You would not be able to make heads or tails out of it. This is good for a wide variety of scenarios, not only for the encryption of massive storage disks, but rather instead you can also encrypt your USB drives. So if you have sensitive information on your USB drives and you're carrying them around, it probably is a good idea to encrypt them, because when they are encrypted, they won't be, if you lose them, whoever comes to be in the possession of them will not be able to access your information at all. They will only be able to see gibberish with whatever program that they're using, even if that, but they will not be able to read through the information because it is encrypted completely. So that can be a very strong and very good layer of security for your disks. For example, if this gets stolen or something of a kind, you can protect against unauthorized access. And police have had a lot of problems with this, primarily with encryption, because a lot of criminals unfortunately know how to use it. And what they do is basically just encrypt the drives, so the drives can no longer be used as evidence. Technically they can, but what are you going to use them for when you do not have access to any information there? Now, the reason why I'm citing this example is that police, of course, hires external help. So they pay companies to break the encryption, and in some cases, some types of encryption they can manage to break. For example, if you have a encryption backup with Dell or something of a kind, then Dell can be contacted to unlock it or something like that. And for Toshiba, I think it's the same, and for most of these large disk manufacturers, if you use their encryption system, or if you have a backup at their place, then if you have a backup, that's the main thing for the encryption, then they can actually unlock it. But if you're using something like LUKS or something of a kind on a regular disk, well, I'm afraid that's just not going to happen. And the companies that do this, they have huge systems where they can generate a large amount of keys in a relatively short amount of time, but I've seen encryption keys over 20-30 characters long, and no matter what sort of a machine you have, with 40 characters, if you had 40 characters, all the machines of this world wouldn't help you. That's how many combinations you could actually make. So it is vital that the encryption keys are strong. I think that when you install it, perhaps not in Red Hat, but if you install Ubuntu, there is a wise message that says if the encryption key is longer than 20, that should be safe enough, as it would literally take an eternity to guess it. Now I imagine if you multiply that by 2 and had 40, the amount of keys is not doubled, it actually grows exponentially, meaning it quite literally explodes. Anyway, sometimes they manage to break the encryption if the encryption keys are weak, and the police manages to catch the prosecution manages to push the case and jail the bad guys, but